Today is Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I am Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor 47, Week 7.
We are back. This episode's titled Our Pickle on Blast, that was spoken by Tiana.
And if anybody knows what the heck that means, let me know. I have no idea what that means. Do you?
No, I don't know. Previously on Survivor, the game was about to change and Rome was letting them know that he was the mastermind behind it all. But Sol and Kyle had different ideas. They wanted Rome out, and they also wanted a backup plan for Rome, and Sam offered up Andy. If it's Andy, it's Andy. And Rome goes home.
I don't know that Sam offered him up, but he said, if it's, like you said, if it's him, it's him.
Those were his words, yeah.
I know, but he didn't offer him up. It's after Sue asked him.
I think you're tired and you're arguing a semantic technicality.
Okay. All of the above may be true. But nonetheless, that is what happened. We did finally get caught up this weekend. We had not seen any episodes since two.
It's been,
except for a part of an episode.
Been a time-intensive series of events and adventures. And the adventures are far from done. But we managed to watch the episode tonight and managed to dig through boxes until I could find enough pieces to scrape together a way to do a recording.
Yes, and
of the
it's
recap.
almost midnight and we didn't sleep much last night. So if we're not all here, sorry. But we did want to talk about the episode, and it just took us a little bit longer than we thought. I wanted to know, did you ever hear them pronounce the new tribe name?
No.
Is that Beka? Beka?
Beka?
Beka.
Maybe, yeah.
With the
E sometimes, yeah.
Beka.
Yeah.
Well, I wish somebody'd said it. I can't. If they did, I missed it.
Yeah, we'll look for an extra video. Maybe we'll get something that explains the merged tribe name.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, they're back from Tribal Council on night 12, and congrats to everybody for making the merge. And Teeny is feeling, she tells us, so good. And that amulet advantage was played. It was even played to her benefit, so things couldn't have gone much better. We got that monkey off her back, and she was protected at the same time. Time for Andy and Saul to have a talk. What did you think about how Saul explained and handled that?
I thought he did it as well as he could. And I like that he just threw Sam under the bus as well, know. And I think Andy actually believed him that he didn't really want to vote for him. It was just self-preservation. And that, he finally convinced him, look, I was given your name and I just did what I did. It's not that I want you to go home.
Yeah, that almost seemed like a diversion that worked to me. Because Andy was pinning him down pretty good before that happened. Yeah, so you thought Rome had an idol. Therefore, I was going to go. But that conversation shifted when he offered up Sam. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, when he said, hey, and they
Sam
gave
said, you're the backup.
It's like, who gave you my name?
What do you think about Andy now?
I voted for him to go home this week just because that's what...
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I think it's time for Andy to go home. But I guess not. I was wrong. So I think he is at least playing the game.
Has he recovered?
Somewhat. Or they're just not showing us some of his sensitivities.
Yeah, you don't mend those kinds of insecurities while you're out there playing.
No. I don't mean that he's done that. I just mean that enough people have humored him. He's got himself a little under control from what they've shown us. But I still, he's better. He is playing the game some. He is even strategizing some, and so I do like that. And he's bounced back better than I thought he could. But in all fairness, we have seen a lot of people at the beginning just lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first 3 days or something. It's a difficult adjustment. Their bodies are in no sleep, and all of that just really hits them. And for a lot of people, it throws them into an emotional tailspin. And, I kind of think that happened to him and brought up all of his insecurities all at once. And, it wasn't a good thing for him.
At least from the edit this week, we're getting stable Andy. He said little things are not adding up. He's woken up. He knows he needs real allies. He needs a real alliance. And he needs to get rid of Gata. Because they were not loyal to him.
Right.
So he's put himself back to square one, maybe even square zero, and he's got to build from here. That's what he took away from that conversation with Saul.
No, I don't think he's all the way back to square one, because he has made some headway, I believe, especially with Genevieve. So
that comes the next
later.
day.
I'm out of order.
Yeah. Okay, so day 13. This all happens really on day 13. The whole episode's a one day cycle, when it was jam packed. So we see Andy sitting out on the beach, and he's trying to do some survivor calculus, trying to figure out where he could find an alliance, where he could build and get in a majority. And
I thought that was pretty good, because I think doing it while everything was quiet gave him a better opportunity to really be with his own thoughts and think things through a little better.
Mm-hmm. And then Genevieve came up, hit him with some good questions. Hey, did you sleep okay? How you feeling? Trying to make that human connection. And Genevieve tells us that Andy is on the top of her list for allies, because her number one just got voted out, and she's in search of someone else to fill that role.
Someone else who doesn't have a number one or a number two even. But.
Yeah. Andy's still here, she tells us, and we both have agendas. So they're trying to figure out how to build a 7.
Well, and he realized that he's the third wheel between Sam and Sierra.
Mm-hmm.
He did not know that before. I think he really thought that he and Sam were 1 and 2. But I think he's seeing it more clearly now.
Right. Yep, he tells us he has a vision now. He's looking for a sneak attack. He wants to find a real number one who also doesn't have a number one, so they can team up and make this happen.
Well, I kind of think Genevieve can manage him a lot better and more subtly, and make him feel heard as well. So I think she's got the talent to do that and really utilize what she can from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe as long as it feels like a genuine connection, I think you got Andy. Now, the day's events are going to twist around, but so that's some future planning, essentially, that's happening there. Okay, Sierra brings a tree mail, and we end up with a classic discussion after this.
About how the women, and they want an all-woman alliance.
Yeah, going to get a boy out. Eat the men. That's it in the commercial,
well, that
right?
That was Teeny, yeah.
Yeah.
Teeny wanted to eat the men. And I think she probably would stick with that, but it just doesn't seem to happen.
Teeny even acknowledged that. She knew her history really well, referenced the Black Widow Brigade, and the fact that most attempts at women's alliances falter. A little foreshadowing.
Well, and she wanted all the women to at least make the jury.
Mm-hmm.
But not happening. Okay.
Tiana's still got her eye on Gabe to get rid of him. He's a threat. And with more women, she might be able to... Did she say flip the script or flip the ship?
She said she could stick with the Tuca 5, or she could flip.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't trust Gabe. She hasn't all along.
Mm-hmm.
And she's right. He didn't really like her either. He was always wanting to get rid of her, too. So they just didn't mesh.
Okay, on to the immunity/reward challenge.
And Andy tells Probst, we have to play Survivor and see what shakes out tonight.
Now it really starts. Yeah, this is the This is the real portion of the game. Almost. Probst has got a twist for him, right?
True.
Right, so it's classic balance. We've seen this, a balance, how did he describe it? Balance, concentration, and endurance challenge.
Yep, they have to balance on the perch, which is in itself difficult.
Because it gets smaller and smaller as you progress.
Well, and you could tell right off, some of them, but especially Andy, they just started shaking right away, holding that pole overhead.
Yeah, his muscles tend to give out pretty quick on him, it seems like. So you're going to have to balance on the beam. You've got to hold this long pole above your head, and there's like a flat paddle at the end that you have to balance a ball on there. Really tricky stuff.
Well, and just what they want to hear. Okay, we're merged. Now let's divide you into 2 groups.
Yeah. What did you think about the twist?
I kind of liked it.
Yeah. So the last person in the losing group gets individual immunity, and that whole group of 6 has to go to tribal council. And then whoever's in the winning group, that whole group is immune, will not be voting. They'll essentially be sitting in the jury box and watching what happens.
Which was kind of cool, too, under the circumstances, but we'll talk about that later.
And then the big deal is one being voted out. This person's not going to be on the jury.
Yeah. Oh, I thought the big deal was the winners get to eat ribs and salad and corn and...
Yeah, baby back ribs, potato salad, corn on the cob, beer and soda. That sounds pretty good. Okay, in the blue team, we've got Rachel, Carolyn, Sue, Tiana, Gabe, and Kyle. And
no, that's the yellow team.
Oh, did I get it backwards?
You did?
Okay.
Blue team is Genevieve, Sierra, Teeny, Saul, Andy, and Sam.
Gotcha. I guess I wrote it down backwards. My bad.
Well, I think you did. Or I did. I don't know now. But either way, those were the 2.
So in the random draw, you end up with Rachel and the whole Tuku tribe. That does not bode well.
Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe that was blue. But I don't know.
It's okay.
Sorry, y'all.
So, like you were talking about, Andy starts shaking right away. He's an early out.
Yeah.
And then Rachel, not too far behind.
No.
Even though she had all the motivation in the world
she did,
to hang on and try to get individual immunity. But not going to happen.
Well, she might have already been nervous, but... And that can be difficult. A lot of people's muscles would just give.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that fast, but...
Yeah. Well, and as an added degree of difficulty, they've got 15 seconds to make live transitions between the different sections of the balance beam. And you can't drop the ball during that time. You don't get a break.
Right.
So in the first transition, Sierra drops, then Tiana, then Saul.
Yeah, and then Sue drops during the second transition, and they're all okay until the third transition, and then Gabe falls. Then Sam's out, Kyle's out, which surprised me, and Genevieve and Teeny are hanging in there, and they end up winning for their tribe.
Yeah, and because Kyle was last for that blue,
for his tribe,
blue team, he ends up getting the individual immunity for them, even though they lost overall.
Yay, Kyle. They ended up sending them, the losers, back to Old Lavo tribe, their camp, and got no food in tribal council that night.
Carolyn says in a quick confessional, Rachel is the easy vote, but maybe not the smart vote, and she wants to make a smart move.
Well, that was good in theory.
Okay, back at camp, and the reward, Genevieve's telling us that she surprised herself. Ended up with safety and food for 6. And they all made the jury.
Would not have suspected Genevieve of winning.
No, for hanging in there like that.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't as surprised at Teeny. I wouldn't have even been surprised if Sue had been able to hang in. But
I would.
Genevieve surprised me. So good on Genevieve.
Yep. Sam tells us that they're bonding there, and certainly got some concerns for Rachel. Poor Rachel.
I thought it was really funny when Andy decided to start looking for a clue, and Sierra just pops up and said, "You find anything, Andy?"
Yeah, they call him Sloppy Andy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've been fingered, so just sit down and take a nap with the rest of them.
Meanwhile, the editors are showing us that there's an advantage stashed in a decoration right behind Saul. So Teeny's wondering if there's an idol on Lavo Beach, and it turns out there was an advantage right there with them. So I liked all that. I liked that whole sequence and the different people looking, and Saul ended up finding it.
Okay, Gabe was not too worried about the shot in the dark, but he really kind of wanted to work on getting her not to use it, just in case.
How do you think they're reacting when they see him? Like tonight, he said, "These people are tools for me." You think there's a lot of text messages flying
Oh,
after
yeah,
that?
sure.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? You bet. I'm sure they're giving him a lot of grief, so.
Well, there was a little bit of, it just seems like there was a possibility that they might not take the easy way out and just target Rachel, right? There's a lot of back and forth on that, not wanting to have that appearance so that they get targeted by the majority when they get back.
You know, it feels like Sue and Gabe have really, people don't seem to know how very locked in they are. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think they would so openly approach her to vote him out. And I guess she doesn't give it away.
Mm-hmm. To her credit on that part.
Yeah, he's her number one, but it's like she's just unwavering. Boy, he sure read her well at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's
one of the better.
He did do that well, and he is playing the game and playing it hard.
One of the better plays
like that.
of the season.
Yeah.
This seems like a really good cast. We were connected in the beginning. Obviously, we do this move, we get disconnected from the season. But as we were catching up, and I was, looking at who was being voted out and who was still there, and several times thinking, oh man, that person's already gone. And I just think this, so far, to me, my impression is this is a way better cast. One of the better casts of the 40s, it seems like, still at this point.
Okay, back over to the gluttons that can barely move or roll over.
Food comas, yeah.
And Saul decides he's not tired, and he finally starts searching. I love the surprised look on his face. He's looking around. All of a sudden, he does a double take. Like, oh, wait, there's something right there. And I thought it was not more than a foot away from him the whole time.
Yeah, that would surprise me too.
And nobody saw it. You'd think the people further away from him would have seen it better. But it just kind of blended in.
Great sequence. It did seem to be camouflaged well in that decoration in the little area there where they were feasting.
Yeah, but them highlighting it stood out as well. So
Tiana's big plan, bouncing back over to the old Lavo camp, is that they need to get Carolyn on board with the plan to vote for Gabe. If it's going to happen, it's really going to pivot on her. And so for a second, it seemed like that might actually be the case.
I didn't think so.
No?
No, not once she started saying, oh no, this and that. And I thought, oh, she's not going to do it right now. She agrees with what they're saying, but not right now.
Right, yeah. Okay. I think we're just saying the same thing different ways.
Yeah.
And as far as Caroline was concerned, Rachel is the most dangerous person in the game.
Really?
This is when Tiana, you can see the light kind of go out of her eyes, because she tells Tiana, well, that's going to give you and me more options once Rachel's out. That way we'll have more room to maneuver with the other women.
Oh, yeah, because she thought that Rachel was the head of Gada.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if it was that. It's just that she was such I missed that then. Rachel was such a well-rounded threat that they just really needed to take that piece off the board.
Yeah, she said she was the head of Gada and she's very smart. So,
again, to Gabe's credit, he seemed to be given a pretty good sell in his attempt to get her to not play the shot in the dark.
Yeah. Well, she didn't play it.
And it did look like he was going to give Rachel some ammunition that she could use. Because Gabe was saying that he and Kyle were looking for the right time to get Carolyn out. And you were thinking, okay, well, Rachel's going to turn around and give that to Carolyn, and maybe that'll flip her back.
Yeah,
and then
I did think
she will get on board with Tiana's plan. But that was not to be. Rachel was so desperate to believe, but she said her BS detector was going off too.
Yep.
I think this is one of the greatest examples of how hard it is to make those decisions, to make those calls in this situation. Again, you're forced back down into really small numbers with the 6, and you're just completely outnumbered 5-1.
Really appreciate that Saul was able to not only hide the clue, not give it away at all, to just carry on, and that he patiently waited until there was a clear time for him to
cover with a stickball game, so he could sneak off and read it.
So I really like that.
So he's got 2 options, he finds out. He's got an advantage, and he's got to pick somebody in the group that's where someone's going to be voted out to give this advantage to, and he gets to pick, is it a block a vote flavor or is it safety without power? And you couldn't have asked for the more textbook ideal situation of someone who needed safety without power so they could just duck out of the tribal council and be safe.
I'm sure that's why he decided on that, but that was really cool. And I like that he found it.
Yes, it did. It did all feel right, didn't it?
Yeah, and I liked watching him get excited about it.
And too, going through the difficult process of really what is the best for him. What does he need? That would be a lot to have to process real quickly.
Well, and I'd
make sure you weren't missing on something.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know, how he utilizes it coming up. The fact, is he going to tell her? Mm-hmm. Is he not going to tell her? All those things.
All right, so we head into tribal council wondering how that is going to, what is he going to choose, and then what kind of impact is that going to have? Andy, Sam, Saul, Sierra, Teeny, and Genevieve are in the jury box.
Yeah. And Caroline tells us that they all want to know that they made an impact on the game, that they're really into Survivor. They want to make an impact. They don't want to just come in and play the game and leave. They want to do something to make an impact, though, when they feel that way, I think sometimes it can just make the game that much harder for them.
Sure.
And sometimes hurt them in the game because they over-try, or they try to push something.
Build their resume.
Just
big plays, yes.
Or just to know that, well, even if I went home, I made this big move, or I did this thing, I made some impact on the game of Survivor.
And we know that Probst is coaching them about that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Ahead of time. So they all seem to do a good job of echoing back his advice in this space. Rachel, not necessarily taking the easy play, the easy way out, the easy play.
And Rachel tells us this is the hardest day yet for her. And I don't know why Sue was talking about the game changes on the hour. It's like, really? You changed your mind, Sue? At all? I don't think so.
There's a lot of good acting going on there.
Yeah, there was.
Not only there, but also in the jury group with Saul.
Yeah, the non-jury group.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he did excellent with that. Like, what is that? What is? He had he had no clue. I thought, no, he did that well. I don't think anybody was suspicious that it was him. Tiana tells us she doesn't want to go home with regrets. Yep. She doesn't want to miss making any big moves.
Wants to take that shot, yeah.
Yeah, and then Caroline starts talking about, but it has to be smart moves, not just big moves, You can also hurt your game with big moves, which is true.
Wants to do what's best for her game.
But Rachel tells us she's still anxiously hopeful that she, who did she give her word to that she'd make a move?
You're talking about what's coming up.
Yeah.
That was her husband. It wasn't make a move. It was not to go out with something in your pocket.
Oh, okay. That's what it was.
When Gabe just before that though, when Gabe gets asked if he had concerns, he said, the only way you don't is if you don't know the plan. And
that Rachel could be choosing who's going home, and that's very scary, though I don't think he bought that for a second.
No, but he did a good job of keeping that cover going, I think, that story.
And then Jeff thought it was time to vote. It was not time to vote, Jeff. It was time for Rachel to tell us what she got.
Yeah, so she gets an anonymous advantage.
In her bag. Somebody put it in her bag.
And it turns out that Saul chose safety without power. And that's when she said her husband told her, don't leave the game with something in your pocket. So she said, I'm playing it. And then she said, thank you, whoever you are, as she walked past the jury observers group.
As Saul looks around at the other people like, who is it? Who did it?
Okay, back from commercial, Probst tells the remaining Tuku 5, you're going to be turning on each other now.
Well, and I said, we're going to come back to a live trouble.
Yeah. So now what? Probst asked. Gabe says, well, the game's changed, but we were ready for this. We previously had a plan if we had gone back to tribal council when we were at 5. And Tiana knew that she had been a target, right?
I couldn't figure out if Caroline was really upset or if she was just pretending for the jury. Because the jury were like, oh, no, and she doesn't get to... not the jury, but, the other people who were saying...
Who's going to be the jury eventually.
Yeah, that she's not going to make the jury. And everybody felt badly for that. And Sue couldn't care less. Gabe didn't care. They were... But Caroline was like it affected her deeply. And maybe it did. I hope it did, But I couldn't get over the fact, is she acting for the jury to win points with the jury, which is also a good strategic move?
Yeah,
or
it's
is
really
she
early to be doing
genuinely
that.
upset? It's never too early to be doing that, in my opinion. But anyway, I did wonder about that. And she talked about her brain being overwhelmed, which, I don't know, the other people might not like that so much, that was such a struggle. But I really felt like when Kyle went over and spoke to Caroline, and they were there for a little bit, I thought, oh, it's going to be Tiana. They're not going to do it. Kyle's going to do whatever Caroline says, because he didn't want it to be him.
Well, given what he told Carolyn, I thought that there was still a chance that Tiana might survive, because he was basically saying her story checks out and Gabe's the bigger hit. So I think he wanted to go that way, but probably Caroline talked him out of it again, and that's probably your answer, that she was doing some acting.
And I think it's just because Sue's her number one, and Sue wasn't going to budge, and that could hurt her relationship with who she thinks is her number one.
Like Gabe had said, we had a plan at this point. This was how it was going to go down.
Yeah, and really, I think Sue believes that Gabe's her number one, but I do believe Caroline thinks Sue is hers.
Okay, no idols get played, no shot in the darks get played.
No.
We get a vote for Gabe, a vote for Tiana, and then more votes for Tiana. Tiana's out. She's stunned. She sniffles and gives a series of no-no-nos. I'm not sure she was ever actually physically crying, but you could tell she was...
I think she was once she got off set.
Very hurt. And, yeah.
Well, I would think it looked like to me she was a little bit in shock, that she really didn't think she was going to go. And that it wasn't sinking in that I'm not going to be on the jury. They were so sure they were merged. They're on the jury, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden Jeff says, no, you're not.
Not for you.
And I do think that was devastating for her.
Yeah. Well, and that was the dream. The millions gone.
Yep.
Not even the bigger bucks towards the end of the game.
Right. Okay. Anything else you want to say about the episode?
I really enjoyed the episode. These are rough when it goes back down. I guess overall I'm not a fan of bring everybody together and then break them into these small groups and have to do the stupid small group votes again. And of course it broke as unfairly as possible for Rachel, but then there's this advantage that actually ends up being able to save her. So
that's Survivor.
Yeah, it ain't fair. That's for sure.
Twists and turns, never meant to be fair.
Yeah, gotta adapt. I'm sad to see Tiana go. I would have liked to have watched her play more, and that's what I want in a cast and what I want in a season. I want to feel sad that person's not going to be in the game anymore. that's how much I was enjoying watching them play and try to play and all that. So, yeah, a little bit sad, but I think overall it was a really exciting episode. It was a lot packed into one day for sure.
Absolutely.
And now there's all these questions. Well, who did that? Who saved Rachel? Will she even get to find out? How's Saul going to manage it from here? All of that it's going to be really interesting. Do I think there'll be a women's alliance? No, I don't.
No,
because we ended up at the end of the episode with 2 possible targets, both women.
Well, now they don't have the advantage anymore. It's equal men and women, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, no, it's
11.
It's 11 now.
Yeah, the women still have an advantage, but
oh, do they?
No.
Okay.
I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Not with Sue being so. They're not going to get Sue in on that.
No, I don't think so. I can't.
Gabe made such good investment in Sue that it's going to wreck Sue's game. It's helping Gabe's game. It's actually protecting him, and he doesn't even know it. So, yeah, interesting. I'm in catching up. I was enjoying the way things were playing out. I loved that Rome went out. That was great fun. And I'm excited to hear what other people are thinking about this season, too.
Next on Survivor.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to have an auction. That's good. Auction's back. Good
we
deal.
like auction. Sierra is saying, let's just knock out Tuku.
Yeah. I think she's talking to Rachel. You were thinking it might be Genevieve, but I think that was
I think
Rachel,
it was probably
since they
Rachel.
were together originally on Gata.
Yeah.
Sam declares war is absolutely coming, and Kyle tells us they're gladiators ready to brawl in the arena.
All right. Whatever that means.
It looked like an endurance challenge where you've got to hold a weight, maybe, that's it's dependent on how much you weighed at the start of the season, one of those kind of things.
I guess I was a little bit surprised at Andy talking to Caroline and saying, I'm looking to change my fate.
Yeah, do you think there'll be anything there with Caroline?
I kind of doubt it.
I don't think there's going to be the same kind of connection as there was with Genevieve. Caroline is too comfortable with where she is.
Yeah, she doesn't need him.
Right.
Genevieve needed him.
Yeah.
But Carolyn, nah, I don't think so. And but Andy says they are not going to see me coming.
Right. Sure, Andy.
So I'm thinking, okay. And Tiana says she doesn't really regret how she played the game, but who she trusted in the game. She feels like she got bamboozled. So
I bet she's still wrestling with that.
Yeah, probably.
This just set it off again.
She did seem very shocked. I'm pretty sure she thought she had the votes. Mm-hmm. But alas, she did not.
Not to be. Nope. Did not make that connection good enough. How about a JSFL update?
All right. There were 45 people who lost their USB 24. John R. is in first with 34 points in JSFL. 73 people lost a safe point.
Me.
51 people earned a vote-off point.
Oh, nice.
Not us.
Yeah, it's a good percentage.
All right, for the side challengers with 32 points, Jeremiah's in the lead. 31, Rebecca. 29, Robert. 28, Justin. 27, Anderson and Lisa Ray. And in the basement with 26 is Parker and Stacy.
I had a rough week. I had Tiana safe.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so I got a big 3-pointer out of that.
Yeah, and I think you had to let your picks roll a time or two.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot going on as we were trekking 2,700 miles across the country. Yeah.
Yes, and my sweet husband drove them all.
Yeah. Oh, we almost forgot. This is a special week in JSFL, isn't it?
Well, actually, last week was, but we missed it. So this week will be the only opportunity that you will have this season to choose a new USB,
That would be Ultimate Survivor bonus.
That is correct.
Who you think is going to win this season.
Now, if your USB has already left the game, then you can choose a new one for a possible 5-point bonus if they win.
Yep.
But if your USB is still in the game, you can hold on to them for that possible 24 points if they win, or if it's someone that you think they don't have a chance to win and you want to get rid of them and choose somebody else, you can do that for a possible 10-point bonus if they win. Or hang on to that 24, which is probably what I'll do. I don't know if Caroline can win. I'm not feeling terribly confident about it, but she is there, and so I might just take a risk.
I wonder if I should switch from Kyle, because he's already such a target, winning the first two individual immunities.
I want to switch to Kyle because I want him to win. I like Kyle. I think.
Be careful if you're making a change and your USB's still in the game, because if you do make any change, then the most you can get is that 10 points. You can't reverse it.
No, you can't reverse. You can reverse it and go back to that person, but not for 24 points any longer. You will still only get 10 points. If you change it at all, you will only get 10 points, even if it is your original person. So be certain before you hit submit that that's what you want to do.
Yep, so you got to go to the choose your USB page to make these changes, select who you want, and then hit the submit button and make sure that you see it represented.
And then I would recommend going back to the picks page and making sure that that person shows up in bold. Their name shows up in bold on your picks page. That shows you that your choice went through. And that you did indeed hit submit, because that does happen.
Yep, good advice. Hopefully we haven't made that too confusing, and people can go from there and update their choices given what they've seen up to this point in the game about how people are playing.
And that must be done no later than 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific, next Wednesday before the show airs.
Yep. Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
We are excited to hear what you are thinking about this season. We're looking forward to doing a listener feedback show. You can call and leave a voicemail at 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can record your audio and attach it, or type it up in a quick message and send it to Joanne and Stacy Show at gmail.com, and we'll read it in the show on your behalf. Feedback's due noon Pacific time. I'll have to change my script. We're not Pacific time anymore.
That's true.
3 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
Oh, well, we're probably going to end up having to change that to noon Eastern time.
Yeah. Okay. We'll figure that out. Yeah, we ask that you keep your feedback in that 3-minute range. Looking to see what you're thinking of the season overall. I guess because I had a break, I'm just really curious what people are thinking about this cast. And so how did your assessment of the Castaways change after this week? And who's impressed you the most so far? Who do you think's playing the best game, and who's in jeopardy of being voted out next? Always curious to hear theories on that for those of us that are playing in the fantasy league.
And we have missed hearing from you.
Yes, very much so.
And we missed watching the show.
Yeah.
We finally got an internet connection, and we do not have good phone service here.
Yeah. Connectivity has been as about as difficult as it could be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dropped calls.
And currently our internet connection is just draped across the lawn as we wait for them to come bury the cable. So, yeah, I worry every time I back out of the driveway that I'm going to knock it out. Oh, goodness.
Yes, well, if that were our only problem, we would be so lucky.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to hearing from you. Anything else?
Nope, I think that'll do it.
Have a good one.
Good night, everybody.